We lived in a garage with no windows, no bathroom, no sink, no nothing to cook in, no water, no shower, nothing. So you can imagine, just imagine what we had to do. And the people took our money. Kids is kids. They shouldn't have to be in nothing that the parent is going through, but they are, you know. They physically, mentally, and emotionally are. And it's hard for kids.
What worries me is like I'll get comfortable in a school and then we'll end up having to leave. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, stay in one school and then have to switch to a different one and then come back.
There are vast wells of research that suggest that our children their cognitive development has been impacted by their trauma. So we have to work really hard to create a nurturing, safe environment that meets basic needs, and then we have to go in and teach them how to do reading and writing and math.
I mean, people sleep in their car, and then the police knock on it and tell them that in this county you're not allowed to sleep in your car. So then they try to move, say, like to the fairgrounds and park in their car there and pay the money to be in a spot.
First, we stayed in our car for a while until we got tired of cops knocking on our window and chasing us out of parking lots with our kids, and then we ended up in Tent City, and wasn't much better there. So we came out here to stay at the campground.
People look at you when your parents they either judge you and think you're drug addicts or treat you like you don't exist.
So when they pulled up your credit, there was some ding on the credit?
Yeah, we had to return our van because we couldn't put it.
And so now your voucher, you ran out of the time. And so so you couldn't get into an apartment?
No. Records, animals, or no rental history, bad rental history, evictions, all those kinds of things are going to have a harder time getting into those very few limited apartments and rentals that are out there. We are seeing an increase of homeless students, basically unaccompanied students, and there is no shelter for teens in our valley. We don't have one. We have a lot of teens. I've seen an increase this year of teens that are couch surfing, teens that are trying to find a relative that will take them in, and regardless what their circumstances was with their families, these teens still need a safe place to sleep and to stay.
School was always on my mind to come back and be successful in school. I just didn't think I could do it. I dropped out my freshman year, and I thought I was too far behind, and I was really scared. Kids like me need a lot more support. When you get kicked out by your own family, it's you don't feel loved, you know what I mean?
When we were staying with other people, I had that, if what happens if we don't have somewhere to stay tonight. I love the fact that I can go to school every day and not have issues. I kind of keep it a secret. I don't make it very known that I'm homeless.
If they were to ever ask me to leave, I don't know what I would do. Nowhere else to go.
I was with some friends in Olympia, and eventually that situation blew up in my face, and I had to crash with my mom for about a month. that situation blew up, and then I had to crash with my uncle for a couple of months. And so on. You hold on until the situation is no longer tolerable, and you pray to God that you have another place to go after that.
We were subletting and we were paying rent to a lady who wasn't paying rent to the landlord, and so that's why we eventually had to leave. So we ended up, through the time, putting our stuff in storages and losing all our stuff, losing all our pictures, because we couldn't afford it. And it's nobody's fault, you know what I mean, but it's just the way life is. It's hard by myself, especially being a single dad. It's hard having 4 kids and being homeless.
We were in a flood in Denham Springs, Louisiana, and we stayed with one daughter. Her and her husband in a 1-bedroom apartment. It was
11 people.
11 people in a 1-bedroom apartment. We was there, about a month?
Almost a month.
And her landlord said, "Man, they got to go." But we couldn't find nowhere to go. There was no housing. The shelters were kicking people out. And there were the hotel rooms, the motel rooms.
They were all full. And a lot of those got destroyed. Yeah. And it's like you couldn't go stay with friends or family down there because everybody lost everything. So you really didn't have a choice. I mean, you got to pack up and, well, if you have anything to pack up, you got to just get up and leave like everything that you know, everyone that you know, and try to start over.
But people just don't really understand the impact of moving from house to house as a guest. Being that person that's there, the feeling in the household when you're a child or even the parent, and the reality is that the very fact that you're there may get the people who are renting the home evicted. That changes the atmosphere of a home a lot. I would say 75% of the families we work with are all doubled up. And most of those scenarios aren't very good. There are people who are potentially going to get evicted because they have more people in the household. So they're sneaking their friends or family in, and that creates obviously more stress and tension. It's oftentimes families who are having difficulty feeding their own family, but they understand. So they're compassionate, so they're opening their doors and their hearts and trying to help, and sometimes they all end up homeless.
There is a pocket of rural poverty up there where there's a lot of single wide trailers, travel trailers, and hundreds of families that are in this area that end up losing their housing frequently. And then finding another place to go, possibly with another family. It's the cheapest housing in Whatcom County, and that's why we see so much poverty up in that area.
Ready or not, here I come. I just feel like I'm always intruding, and that's what I don't like.
The intrusion and the fear that you're going to overstay your welcome, and like they're going to be too scared to say anything, and it's just going to cause a big awkward situation. They were really understanding about the fact that we lost everything, so I don't have their birth certificates or any of that stuff. They actually gave me time to get that stuff.
So that's one of the big gaps in our community is there are no shelters that specifically cater to families. So a lot of times we see families that are living in their cars because they don't want to separate and go to separate shelters.
The housing barriers, there's so much still to be done. I think it's the vicious cycle of homelessness and not having the resources to house them.
The waiting list for Section 8's closed all the time. It's years of waiting because we don't have enough affordable or subsidized housing.
There needs to be 3 things that we look at when we're trying to help families and students who are in homeless situations get beyond that. Get to success, get housed, get stable, and be able to maintain that. I think that housing, schools, and health care need to all work together very closely.
I think people are starting to open their eyes and say, wow, there's a lot of issues in this community, and what are we going to do to help them and make sure these kids get their needs met and they can be successful in school. I think most of the teachers, except for the new teachers, are pretty aware of what this community consists of. And one thing that we like to do, myself and the school counselors, is take new teachers and drive them around, because we feel that it's very important to see what you're dealing with, where these kids are living. And, having an awareness like that can really have an impact on how you work with that particular child. Having some compassion and having just an idea of the conditions that they're expected to do their homework in.
And so they're lost in their seat in their classroom when they're trying to take in information. They often have difficulty socially making friends because they've moved around so much, or because they're very distracted and their behaviors are not attracting friends, or their hygiene is affecting their ability to connect with other kids. So you see kids being isolated and, this kind of posture, sad. And
if I could wave my magic wand, I would definitely have more housing available for our families.
The end of my rainbow is a home, and I'm trying to reach that. I want my own doorknob to turn, my own key. I want my kids to feel whole again. I want them to be able to say they have a home that's once theirs. I want them to be okay.
They gave me guidance, and they always believed in me, and that's the best part, because nobody's ever believed in me. They showed me that love and the unconditionalness of it, and that's something I never had. And people believing in me was the best thing, because before people believed in me, I never thought I could do the things that I want to do now.
It's just hard because you want to do more for them. And that, as a McKinney-Vento liaison, right, we're there for make sure those kids get in school. But the reality of that is it's a whole lot more, because you're dealing with the whole family to the degree that you have the ability to. Partner with your community service providers and get those relationships going, so that when you have a crisis with a family, you can call those people and reach out to. The more people you have, the more chance that you may have a solution.
School's probably been most to me, it's gotten me through everything, because I feel like without school, I wouldn't have such a really good support system.
Why are there so many kids in these kinds of situations? 450, 10 to 12% of our school district is homeless. Why are there so many families and kids in these difficult, just impossible economic circumstances? School is the only place where a lot of these kids feel safe and feel welcome and feel loved in their lives. So school, on the one hand, plays a very important role in these kids' lives, and I think on the other hand, we still have a lot of work to do to make school as best a place as it can be for these kids.
I'd say is just be really understanding to the students that are with McKinney-Vento, because they don't have a lot of things. They don't have internet, maybe they don't have good transportation. It's really hard.
My hopes and dreams is to, of course, I already graduated, and that was a good accomplishment I made. But I want to go to college, and I want to, become an architect.
What I most want people to know is how amazing our children are, and what a testament they are to resilience and overcoming things. And I think at an elementary school, we can create extended family. We are their family.
My goal is to let those families know that the school district isn't, something to be afraid of. I want to let them know that there are people here that can help and that can listen. And even if that's the only thing that I do is listen, I know sometimes it makes a huge difference.
I just think they just need to take the time out. Just take the time out just to listen and see what's going on with that person, That's all it is just a little time. All it is just time. That's all. Just a little time.